Well, here we are again. This is going to be the third time I've had this particular problem. This time it's a little bit different. It's kind of self-inflicted here. When I let the cows in the other day, I think one of them must have stepped down inside of there. So, yeah, got the backhoe warming up. This time I'll be able to fix it myself and won't have to call in the big guns, or at least I hope I don't. So we'll see. I'm gonna try and set the backhoe up right over here. We'll see if that gives me access to everything I need. And yeah, we're gonna dig this up and figure out what's going on. So the first problem that I had was that the pressure regulating valve was leaking. And so I've just had this completely valved off over here though. That valve's not even had pressure on it, and this is not drying up at all. So I would expect this to have gone down by now. That was 2 days ago now. So pretty sure we've got a leak. So I think one of the cows stepped in that hole, and luckily they didn't hurt themselves, or at least not that I can tell. It would have really sucked if they'd broken a leg or something. Moving on, after I get this fixed, what we'll do is I've got the lid taken off of that broken ice box. We'll turn that over on top of the hole, and then in the winter, I was thinking about it, that'll actually give me a little bit more insulation to help make sure nothing freezes up in there. So what I expect to find is that the 90 down there at the bottom is going to be leaking. We'll see though. So all right, give that back just another minute or two to warm up, and we'll get it moved and get started. Well, that got chaotic pretty quickly. So I still had the water turned on, and I dug down to the bottom of this one, and that 90 was not leaking the way I thought it would be. In fact, nothing on this was leaking. It all looked fine. So I moved on to digging this up, and I dug around on it with a shovel for several minutes because I was afraid, being an inexperienced operator, not knowing the machine very well, even though I knew right where that line was, and I knew how deep it was buried because I put it there, and well, me and my cousin, that is. I was getting tired of messing with the shovel, and when you got a backhoe set up right there and running, it just feels silly to be digging in this super soggy wet clay with a backhoe, or with a shovel. So I decided to try and get closer with the backhoe, and yeah, that was a mistake. So this was not my problem, or at least not all of it, but it became a problem quite quickly. So that happened right after 6. So it was like 6:10, 6:13 or something like that, and the hardware store closes at 6. So it's too late on that. I had to drive all the way to Shakota. It's about a 30-minute drive to get some PVC parts, right? You see one of them right there. So what I decided I was going to do is just cut the 90 off right there, which I did. It's in the mud over there. And then I was going to go ahead and just replace this entire thing, because I wasn't sure how much of that I had damaged, and I was now suspecting that it was this valve that might be leaking. Maybe a cow stepped on that, and that's what was causing the leak. I didn't get to find that out though, because I ripped it out before I was able to uncover it and see what was going on. So I went ahead and just cut that whole thing out, and while I was at Atwood's, I picked up the 90. I picked up a reducer, because that's 1 inch comes out, it's 3/4 over there. So I picked up the 90, the 1 to 3/4 reducer, and a new valve. I already had the PVC pipe on hand, and I cut that one. I cut the old 90 off, and I prepped the new 90 with the reducer in it, but I didn't put it on here yet because I wanted to build this out first and get over to it. And so I went to glue up the valve on that and realized I had bought a 1/2 inch valve. So stupid. So I was in kind of a hurry when I was in the store there. I was having trouble finding the valves, and then apparently I grabbed the wrong one. So while I was there, I also grabbed a 1 inch and a 3/4 inch cap, just in case I got somewhere and realized I was hosed, which I did. So we've got this capped off. Tomorrow I will go pick up the correct size valve right after work. I'm not driving all the way back to Shakota right now. The sun's about to go down anyway, that's why I was in a hurry. And yeah, we'll get it fixed for real. So, and I am using, because I learned from my cousin, this blue hot glue. it's actually cold to the touch when it's drying. You know, but so I think they call it hot because you can you can't actually do the repair with the line hot, meaning pressured up, but it only takes like 10 minutes or something like that to set and be pressure ready. I've already given it about 20 minutes. I'll give it another 10 or 15, and then we'll go pressure the system up, and we will see if it is still leaking. There's a leak indicator on the meter, so once I turn it back on, I'll be able to tell if it was leaking, and then I will know that I have at least cut out the problem and it's not somewhere else in here. You see that little plus sign right there? You can watch the numbers. So that's not cool. That means that I haven't actually even found the leak. So I tore all that up, and jeez, it's still leaking somewhere. I don't know where. So we'll keep investigating tomorrow and we'll figure it out after I fix the stuff that I just tore up. Alright, see you guys tomorrow afternoon. Alrighty, see that? That's where the water was coming out. So I actually found this last night, right after I took a shower. I came out here to, I was going to go shut all the water off and everything again, and go turn it off at the meter. I happened to look down in here though with the flashlight, and I could see the water running out of here. Now, right there, and I'm almost there, so I just need to get this big kind of clump off, and then, I'm almost to it, but there's a 45. It's right there. In fact, I might see if I can find it with a shovel real quick, so I don't rip it out. But that is, appears to be what's leaking. So, what I did is I went and bought another 10-foot stick of this pipe, and then just a little bit of everything. Bought some more glues, another little can of primer. I've got just a whole bunch of 90s, 45s, T's, caps, couplings, everything, because I'm not quite sure what I'm going to need. Now, we've had the problems with this PVC glue before. If you remember, we immediately blew it out right down there, and I haven't uncovered that yet. But blew that out, and my cousin had to come back out. We had to dig it all up again, and then and patch it. On this, I suspect that this is going to be a glue joint failure, and if that's the case, I think I'm just going to try and dig the entire thing up and rebuild the whole shebang. Basically everything that we did the first time, I'm just going to redo it all again, because I don't trust that glue. I don't want to have to keep digging it up if it keeps breaking. So yeah, let me jump in here and we'll start digging and see what we find. But I bet that's what it's going to be. It's probably going to be that 45. Now, if the pipe is broke, or if it's the fittings cracked or something like that, I'll probably just replace that 45 if I don't think it's a glue joint failure. But if it is, like I said, we're not going to mess around with it anymore. I'll just start digging again, and I've basically got the hole opened up anyway. I might have to move my pile there. That might end up being in my way. We'll see. But yeah, so let's get to it. All right, so here's what I suspect is the problem. I don't see any obvious cracks or anything on the pipe or the fitting. Like I said, I was close. So I took one big scoop and then just scraped a little bit more, and I can see the top of the pipe there. So all right, I'm gonna turn the water on real quick, and we'll see if this is actually what's leaking. Look at that. It's actually that 45's broken in half. It's got a crack in the side of it right there. How about that? Okay, well, that's interesting. I didn't expect that. So I'm gonna turn the water back off, and I think I'm gonna call my cousin and get his advice and see if he thinks I should replace the whole setup or just do that 45. So let me see what he says, and I'll get back to you guys. All right, so I've gone ahead and just exposed this. I haven't got a hold of my cousin yet to see what he recommends, but you can see the water leaking out of here. That's not a leak. You can see it's actually coming out of the dirt right there. And right there is a good spot. So what happens is this clay is very waterproof, and that's why I was wanting to make a pond out of it over in that other spot, but that dirt's actually a little bit different over there. But it'll hold water, and it'll get like seams of water in it, and then when you cut down through it, it'll just bleed, and it leaks for a long time. Can make you think there's a leak somewhere where there's actually not. So Anyway, either way, I'm going to need this line exposed, so I figured I'd go ahead and get that done, and this will give me enough flexibility that I'll be able to remake that 45 connection without having to put a compression coupling in anywhere. So that's the idea with that. I'm going to hang out for just a little bit and see if he calls me back. We got some scattered thunder showers everywhere today. They're kind of moving over me here. It's a little bit ominous looking. But we'll be alright, even if it starts raining. At this point, honestly, I know what the problem is. I could just cap this off. And that was another thing that I was just debating, is maybe I should cap that off and then repressurize the system and sit there and watch my meter and see if it leaks anywhere else. You know, because that would tell me real quick if I had another leak back underneath there somewhere, which I could. I doubt it, but it's possible. So that might be what I do just to test to make sure that I don't put this all back together and then find out that the whole rest of the line's jacked up and end up wanting to replace it anyway. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at here. So this is ready to go back if I decide to do that. All I have to do is cut that off. I've got everything I need for that, and I've got my 3/4 inch valve now, so that's good. And then all I'll have to do on this is cut this back kind of down here somewhere and back over there, put a coupling in on either side with a little stub piece of PVC, and then we'll be able to put that new 45 right on there. So wind's kind of picking up. We might get some rain here in just a second, which, I mean, that'll be fine if we do. So I guess one thing just kind of on theory of digging water lines. Oh yeah, some raindrops. And this I learned from my cousin. I'm not just making this up. And I watched him do this the first time, and so I replicated that. I basically just dug the same hole that he did, except I think I was at a little bit different angle maybe. But if you dig a hole right next to where you know the water line is, then you can just take your shovel and cave the sides of it off into the hole that you just dug. Once you've kind of filled it up, one big scoop with the backhoe, like that, and you can clear all that dirt out. You don't actually have to shovel it out of the hole. It's way easier to just knock it off, you know, a little bit at a time. Kind of cave it off that wall down into the hole, clear it out, cave it all off, clear it out. And so that's what I've done here is I cleared all that out and then just caved all of it away. I did take kind of a scoop through here just to clear the big chunk that was in there, but just, man, it makes it so much easier. So I would not have known to do that if he hadn't told me. So I figure I'll pass that along. That's a useful piece of information if you find yourself running a backhoe. That's way better than trying to dig right here on top of it. And then, I mean, you're almost guaranteed to catch that line whenever you go to dig it up. So, yeah. I might have to go inside here for a minute. Looks like we're going to get a little bit of rain, so. Alright, I'll let you guys know what I figure out when I get it figured out. Alright, well, it poured on us just for a little bit there. We had a little thunderstorm roll through. Looks like it's kind of starting to clear up. So, now, for the record, I'm a Marine and therefore amphibious by nature. I'm certainly not afraid of getting wet. But I was not sure if the glue would be okay if it got rained on while I was gluing it up. I wasn't sure if that was going to cause me any problems. And so I just talked to my cousin though, and he said it won't be a problem with this blue glue that I have, this blue hot glue. So I guess I could have gone ahead and done that in the rain, but I haven't yet. So the other thing that I told him I was thinking about doing was capping that off and then pressure testing the rest of the system. And he said that seems like the best possible option to do since we've had so many problems with this. So that's what we're going to do. The other reason I didn't want to work down in this hole is, one, obviously it's full of water now. But also, you can kind of see how this side is caving in. That's a very dangerous situation to be in. So if you're down in there and say this bank that I'm standing on were to cave in that way and fall on top of you, this could potentially be 600, 700, 800 pounds worth of wet clay that lands right on top of you. And if you were bent over down there working on something down here, and that happened, and it smashed you down to there into the clay, you'll drown real quick. And there may be nothing you can do about it. So very careful of that. If you're just renting a backhoe or a trackhoe or something like that, digging a hole yourself, just be aware of that. These holes can cave in, especially if they're a little bit taller than you or about the same height as me. In this particular case, I'm 5'8", and I think this hole's at its deepest whenever I'm digging it out. between 5 and 6 feet, somewhere in there. So I can't hardly see over the top. So that particular condition, though, where the sides of the trench can cave in, is kind of escalated whenever it's raining. So, because I mean, there's water moving through the soil potentially, and it could loosen something up and cause the whole side of this to cave in and possibly kill me. So this is not worth dying over. So we just went and sat in the camper for a little bit and waited for the rain to stop. Still raining a little bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and cap that off. We'll give it a good 20-30 minutes to set. That's all it should take for the particular glue that I'm using. We'll go repressurize the system, and that will tell me if there are any more leaks. If there are, then right off the top, we're digging everything up, and we'll replace all of it. Everything that me and Trev did a month or two ago. He agrees that it was probably because of the way the 45 broke. It's kind of a weird break, and he thinks that it was probably something to do with the cows maybe stepping on this line, and maybe it pulled the bottom of that, and that caused that to kind of tweak. Or maybe even whenever I ripped this line out, right, that could have actually caused this. Maybe that wasn't broken before. My problem was actually over here. You know, too late to know that now. But this is definitely the problem at the moment. But we suspect it was something physical or mechanical that has caused this to break, and not just a pressure issue. That being said, these lines do have 120 psi on them, which is kind of unusual as well. That's a lot of pressure for just a regular city water line. Now, if we look at Schedule 40 pipe here, it should be rated at 450 psi, so it should be good, and that's Schedule 40. But he did mention if another month or two down the road we have another break and something else is leaking, then we might want to look at going with a Schedule 80 pipe, or going upstream somewhere and putting in a pressure regulator. So we'll keep all that in mind. For now, I'm going to cap that off and pressure test the system. So I'll show you the results of that here in just a minute. Alright, it's been about 30 minutes. Turn this water back on. Poison ivy. And we're going to sit here and watch it. And if it's leaking, we'll be able to tell. Now, as soon as I turn it back on, even though everything's capped off, it's going to flow a little bit. Oh, not much at all. Excellent. And that's because the pipe is actually expanding. So, let's see if I can get you in here. See, there's still a plus on there. I have to wait just a minute. Alright. And that went away. So, excellent. So that means that there is no water flow right now. And that's that plus sign that was right here that I was talking about. That's a leak indicator. Alrighty, so just got all this glued up. So it's now 5:20. So we'll give this until at least 5:50, and then we'll pressure it back up and see if anything's leaking. So hopefully we're good. Now I did leave this up pressured up overnight, and it was not leaking still. So that's excellent. So I know I didn't have any other leaks in there. So if anything is leaking, it's going to be this stuff right here. It's raining on me again. Figures. Yeah, so give it 30 minutes and it should be good to go. And I'll wait until, of course, I've pressure tested it before I start burying it everything again, but hopefully this rain stops. So anyway, see you guys soon. Alright, we're pressured up, no leaks. Time to start backfilling. So I've got a big bucket of dirt right here on the backhoe. I'm going to shovel some underneath that pipe. That way, as it settles, it's at least partially backfilled underneath of that. That way there's no weird pressure pushing down on it once I get it all leveled back off. So I'll grab probably just my little shovel there, and we'll scoop out some of this and just shovel it underneath there and try to pack as much dirt underneath that pipe as I can, just to be careful. Well, that didn't take too long. I think maybe 20 minutes. So I ran out of dirt. That happens every time. I did set my meter can up a little bit higher there, and say meter can. That's my camper supply underneath there. And it's a little bit crooked. I'm not too worried about it though. So I need to find some more dirt to fill all this in. And this is what where I'm digging on the pond. That's for, is just filling in spots like this. So I've set the meter can. I think that kind of first step down should be kind of sticking up out of the ground whenever I'm done, and that's why I wanted it that way. I can see it and find it easily. Yeah, I'm not too worried about hitting it with a bush hog or something like that because of where it's at. I mean, I got guy wire right there, power pole right there, and this is just kind of right here in the middle of it. But I just want to make sure that I can find it easily and not have to dig it up. You know, after I move the camper, this will probably still be here for a long time. So if I decide to do something over here where I need water, I don't want to have to dig to find that and try to remember where I put it. So I need to go ahead and dig out my valve, which is right over there somewhere, and we'll get that exposed. And then I'm going to throw this icebox lid on top of it just for now, temporarily. Eventually I want to get another little kind of can like this, a little box to put over the top of it. That way I can get to that valve. So I'm gonna do that, but other than that, we're pretty much done here for the day. So this project's done, hopefully, for a long time. Like I said, this is the third time I've had to dig this up, so getting tired of it. But anyway, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.